So, chat, let's go ahead and let's talk about Karna. So, Karna has been in a weird place for a while. Those of you guys that remember, Karna actually got an upgrade to his charge skill on JP. NA still doesn't have this yet, but we're gonna get it eventually. And you guys can see, right? Oh wait, sorry. There you go. That skill. Where he finally got the fix, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, this is a buff. This is really nice. Some people referred to this as a fix because Karna had the 25% charge. You can't do crap with 25% charge. Like obviously you can, but this may as well just have been a 20% charge skill. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could start him out with like 75% charge C or something like that. But with pins and stuff like that, that was kind of like relatively pointless. So to me, this is just really an odd increment. Clean Sky system doesn't really allow you to take advantage of it. So they ended up giving him that 30%. And that really helped him out. That just made him a little bit more fluid in the Clean Sky system. He's able to start from 50% charge, get a nice, better CE. So this, in a weird way, just helped him work more fluidly and pop off a little bit more. But see, the thing is, Karna has kind of, like early on in the game's history, he's been a very, like, cohesive and solid unit. He's got that anti-divine, and that's always been his, like, major selling point. But he also had Buster resistance down after his damage rather than before. And then you had kind of like Arjuna Alter come into the game and have this exact same setup, only it applied before damage instead of after. So Karna kind of got a raw end of the deal in that regard. He hasn't scaled too well over time, especially without the charge change. With the charge change, he starts to scale a little bit better. But it looks like the devs have decided, hey, this skill still just isn't it. Like, he doesn't really have the capacity to do very much with it. And it's definitely an interesting thing because this skill is on a 5-turn cooldown. Always has been. So this skill, on its face value, is actually very strong. It's 30% Buster up and 20% extra MP damage. Those two factors combine multiplicatively with each other, and one of them can be boosted by Oberon for even more. So it definitely helps out that he's now able to work more cohesively in that Clean the Sky setup, as it allows him to take advantage of the better supports and kind of just work more solidly. And at least with this on a 5-turn cooldown, you can still pop this skill basically on turns 2 and turns 3. So it's not terrible, but it looks like the devs said, you know what, Karna could use a little bit more love. And so they come back in and they basically say, hey, you know what? We're going to give him Buster up of 3 turns and NP damage up of 3 turns. That's definitely nice because this means that now it's going to stack with itself. So kind of like how Artoria could do her buffs, you know, all in like 5-turn cooldowns, and she could have them each turn. It's like, that's fine, but it doesn't scale because it's a 1-turn duration. Now that this for Karna is a 3-turn duration, it's going to have that stacking, that scaling that's going to really help him out. So that means that, again, everything here is just going to kind of keep the ball rolling a little bit. And realistically, you could kind of get it in a weird way down to like 4 turns with the 5th pin. It really wouldn't serve you any benefit to do so, though. So to me, not altogether a big thing to point out. But they also came back in and said, hey, you know what? We're going to also add quick performance up of 30% for 3 turns. And I actually, like, this is a small change. This does not impact his MP damage. But I really like it. And the reason why is because Karna has the standard Lancer deck. He's got the 2 quick cards that are here. Okay? He does have Writing trait as well. So his quick card performance was already okay. But to me, it just kind of ended up being a little bit weak at times because naturally there wasn't a lot of synergy here. So now the fact that we have like Mighty Chains in the game and you end up having him have that quick card, you're also going to have this additional 30% quick up on it. It's going to help the star generation, going to help the damage output, going to help the NP generation of it as well. So it's just an all-around nice solid buff to his carding potential. So I do really like this. And again, given the fact that this is 3 turns, now this means that you can, instead of popping this on turns 2 and 3 to try to maximize the value on like the end turns where you're going to maybe need it the most, you can now pop it on turns 1 and 2. So again, because of the multi-turn duration, you can just front load it, assuming that you know you're going to 3-turn. And therefore, you can kind of stack it faster. This means that he'd be able to overcome potentially a more like anomalous, I guess you could say, wave 1, where maybe there's a little bit more higher health in that wave as opposed to normal node structure where that doesn't normally happen. So I do really like this. I think this is a really, really solid buff for him. It's not going to be like any amazing thing that's going to like wow anyone, or it's not going to really like catapult his damage up, but due to the stackability of it, we are going to see a damage improvement. So now, oh, hold on. Ah, thank you. I appreciate it, Evelyn. Wait, why is it not letting me open this from Discord? That's weird. Anywho, so these are basically going to be the Karna numbers. Down here at the bottom, you can see the old numbers. You guys can see this is old with relation to him still having the 30% charge change, so that he still works in the double coin Skya system. So you're not going to see a huge change compared to like what he is on NA, but there is still a change. And again, so you have definitely still a good solid setup. That part of this isn't going to change, but you can see a little bit, basically the old numbers kind of had you waiting. You waited until wave 2, and then you popped off pretty hard on wave 3. Obviously, you have Man Niche due to Koyan, you have Anti-Divine, this was kind of his bread and butter, and then the potential to stack both of them. So, you can see there's a lot of volatility here. Part of this is just due to Oberon. His, again, damage amplification capability is insane, but you get quite a bit of a catapulting there on the 3rd turn. But if you go look at the new numbers now, you guys can see you already kind of just start the front loading. So literally what was wave 2's number before now becomes wave 1's number, which means wave 2 is better as you already have a double stack for wave 2. And wave 3 is even better because, again, you actually have double stacks. So it's just kind of helped him spiral a little bit harder. He's not somebody that has kind of world-breaking damage. Like, he's not going to be your top AoE in the game for Lancers, but I do think stuff like this really does help, especially in that Divine Niche. Definitely a lot more his wheelhouse for that sort of thing. So this is where I think like having this sort of stuff can really, really benefit you and really help showcase some of this. So you guys can see here, this is Erish's numbers for reference. Now, Erish, a little bit better at this point in time. She does have, with Append 5, the ability to touch Black Grail. So her Black Grail numbers definitely going to blow him out of the water a little bit there. But you can see, like, without the Append 5 and the Append 2, because again, two Appends being required in order to pull that comp off, you can see Erish's numbers are a lot more respectable as it's just a normal cranking. And in this case, they are pretty actually comparable with Karna. Karna's actually got her beat raw value, and then in Niche, she's 385 to her 339 in Earth. So he absolutely beats her without the 5th Appendant play and access to the better Black Grail comp. But the second she gets access to that comp, yeah, things are just way better for her. So he's not going to be really like rivaling some of the top Lancers at the current time on JP. But this is a step in the right direction. This does help him kind of, again, accelerate a little bit more down the stretch. Here up, we have Vitra, and you guys can see Vitra also has the capability of pulling off Black Grails compositions. And again, right here, sort of here's your best numbers. You guys can see NP1 for her is going to be 251. Anti-Divine for her is going to be 270. So the advantage that Vitra is going to have over Karna is just that general loopability and the possibility to maybe do it again. Plus, she actually gives the entire party Anti-Divine Niche as opposed to him. So in that regard, it's actually okay for Vitra to be doing less. The thing is, Vitra wasn't always doing less than him, and that's kind of the issue at play. So you guys can see, like, definitely for raw numbers there, things were a little bit spicier for a guy that was not the most fluid necessarily across time. So the fact that he's outshining her a little bit more and kind of scaling a little bit better than her definitely helps. I think that's a good thing, and I think it's like It doesn't make Vitra bad. It just makes Karna better in comparison. Now, we do have Melisande, and Melisande is at this point for the Lancer sort of your elephant in the room. She is just going to be really tough to beat because, again, it's the same deal. She's got the ability to start with Black Grail, Double Koyan Sky Oberon, Anti-Man as well being added in thanks to Koyan, though that's technically a shared thing. So we're just going to look at the NP1 numbers. But this is why, if we start to look at some of the other Lancers in the category, Melisande's the person to beat. And it's, honest to God, kind of difficult at this point because she's got 3-turn scalability with her overcharge. She easily taps into Black Grail with, again, way more charge to spare. And this allows her to work really well, really synergistically with Oberon. So it's tough for the other Lancers to try to outshine her. But frankly speaking, they kind of need to due to the way that Melisande's kit is designed. She has over 100% charge, which means that, again, she's going to have access to the best Cs in the game no matter what. But also she has the ability to change her, again, like, type in the sense that she can switch from single target to AoE. So it does mean you can use her as either or, which gives her a little bit of versatility. It makes Melisande a very strong and very usable unit. So a little bit, the devs find themselves in a weird situation of trying to justify some of the other unit usages. And I think, like, obviously if we're talking about favorites like Waifu or Husbando, some people are going to just pick what they want to pick, and it is what it is. That's perfectly fine. But when we start looking at gameplay aspects and maybe like needing to balance things to get people to like roll for certain units, this definitely is a major factor. So the fact that Melisande is still sitting on the top of the heap, which is already one of the most popular Lancers to begin with, I think is a huge issue for them at this point in time. They've got to try to convince some of the other people to roll some of the other Lancers, like, say, someone like Karna. And in order to do that, you've really got to improve the damage situation across the board for him. As the only way he's even going to remotely have a chance at beating her is basically if man trait is in play, and then her damage spikes even harder than his. So there's really just no way that he can actually catch her within reason. So to me, I think for a unit that has less charge and less overall capability than Mel, Karna probably should be dealing more damage than her, at least if nothing else, when the divine niche comes in. So the fact that he doesn't and she kind of beats him still raw, that's a problem. And that's where I'm going to say, again, it sort of defeats the entire point of having niches and kind of really wanting to try and like roll some of these other units for some people. I myself personally, I'm still going to roll a unit if I really like them, so it doesn't bother me too much. But I do think this is a problem that the devs have at this point, and it's something that they really need to consider. So it's a good buff for Karna. Definitely helps them stand out a little bit better in the pack, but there is still the elephant in the room. So let me know what you guys think about the Karna buff, and if you think he needs another, and what would you like to see if he needs another. I'd be curious to read you guys' thoughts, and I will see you guys for the next video. Later. Hey, if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, right? It's a good buff for Karna. I like what it does for him. I just realized I didn't record that. So